Hey, Mama. Welcome to Marketing Without Socials for Moms, the go-to podcast for moms in business who want to stop relying on social media to build their business and build it in a way that fits their current season of life. I'm your host, Andria Singletary, a wife, mama of two, and visibility strategist for moms. Each week, I'm giving you the inside scoop on how to increase your visibility, leads, and sales through podcasting, email marketing, and collaborations. Ready to truly make social media optional in your business? Grab your chai tea latte and let's dive into today's episode. Hey, Mama. So I'm answering another question from one of the mamas from my email community. She specifically asked, how do you get comfortable being visible when you're introverted? And current collaborations like bundles, which are low lift, are not working well for you. And so I'm answering the first part to this question because I've already answered, related to not seeing conversions or having collaborations like bundles not work for you. I already did a podcast episode on that this week. But I really love this question because, one, I'm an introvert. And it really resonated with me because as an introvert, putting yourself out there, especially when it comes to getting visible, it can be a lot. It can be very overwhelming and different things like that. And so I was really glad to see this question was asked and that I could talk about it. So just a little bit about me, running a business as an introvert and different things like that. So like I said, I am an introvert, and when I decided to start this business, I realized I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to put myself out there. I had to get comfortable with having conversations with different people and getting more eyes on me, And so one of the things I can say that really helped me was that in my previous job before I started my business, as a preschool director, I had to lead trainings and I spoke at a few conferences. I was even the keynote for a conference. And so that really helped with me being able to put myself out there. So it wasn't so uncomfortable for me. But one thing I do know about me is that my social battery dies fairly quickly. And so I know that these, at least these first few years of a couple of years of my business and stuff, I focused on doing more of virtual events and trying to do more pre-recorded stuff or even podcast guesting where it's more of a one-on-one conversation versus large group and stuff. And so kind of essentially easing my way in, that really helped me to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable as an introvert who needs to get visible for her business. And so one of the things I'll say is that when it comes to visibility and putting yourself out there and, doing these different types of collaborations, it's like a muscle you have to work. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it's not to say you won't get nervous or, feel unease before you do any type of speaking engagement or different things like that. But it becomes a lot easier to do it the more that you do it. And the other thing was that I focus a lot on collaborating with people I feel comfortable with or who have aligned values with me. And the reason why I do that is because I'm not one who's big on small talk. I don't do well with small talk. And so if it's someone I'm really, really comfortable with, the conversation is much more natural and it's a lot easier for me. It feels good. You guys can tell, with my podcast interviews on here, I love chatting with the women that I've had on this podcast. They are super easy to talk to. It really felt like I was just chatting with a close friend and stuff like that. And so I am somebody who is very observant and I can kind of get a feel for people. And so I'm very observant in the online space. I'm watching what you're putting on threads and what you're posting on Instagram and stuff like that, just to kind of get a feel for you and whether or not you're someone I will really mesh with when it comes to collaborating, someone I will actually vibe with. Because that is important. Like that can really affect the collaboration if it's somebody you don't really vibe with, especially if it's like a speaking engagement or like you're doing podcast guesting. Like if it's not a good fit, that's going to come across. And the people who are, taking it in, it's going to ruin their experience of being able to take in this information and stuff. And so I really focus on collaborating with those people who I really vibe with. Like I genuinely vibe with them. Like it feels good to like talk with them and different things like that. So that's the other thing. And I would say the last piece of it for me was really working through the mindset drama. Like I don't want to say like being an introvert is a mindset thing because it's not. It's just a personality thing. But I know, especially for me personally, as someone who is introverted, like I could go down this rabbit hole that would lead to like anxiety and me battling these negative thoughts about myself and whatnot. And so it's something that I had to work through. I really have like learned to tell myself that I have something to offer and there are people who need to hear my message and they need me to show up for them. And so really leaning into that gave me that confidence to do these things that normally I probably wouldn't do or wouldn't want to do, And I also learned to accept that I'm not for everyone and that's okay. Like there are people who they genuinely don't like me for whatever reason, and that's okay. Like not everybody's going to love me, but the people who do, the people who really enjoy hearing from me and different things like that, those are the people I'm showing up for. Those are the people I'm putting myself out there for to really connect with and different things like that. And so I would say that's the biggest thing is like, if there are any negative thoughts that you are telling yourself, like you need to combat those thoughts. You need to, one, really look at, okay, is this a fact or is this something that I'm just telling myself? And it's not a fact, like there are people who genuinely want to hear from you. They want to learn from you. They admire you. They love what you have to offer. They love your personality and different things like that. But you also can do these things on your own terms. What is comfortable for you, working your way up to that. And I'm going to share some tips in a little bit, but that was kind of something like for me that I had to do. And even inside of the social media detox club, there are some mamas who are introverts or who, the thought of getting visible is uncomfortable for them. And the thing is that they're pushing past that and they're putting themselves out there and they're doing amazing at getting visible and participating in collaborations. Like one of the things I do is like, I do check in with the members, kind of see like how things are going, if anything is coming up for them, especially like when they first join. And if I see like maybe they're not active in the community or, I don't really see them like signing up for the collaborations and stuff like that. Like I'll reach out to see like, hey, what's going on and different things like that. And 9 times out of 10, it's a mindset thing. Like they feel like they're not ready or they don't have everything together to start getting visible. And so I support them with working through that, like we work through that mindset drama because literally that can hold you back from putting yourself out there and getting more eyes on your business and everything. And the reality is that as a business owner, you have to get visible somehow, some way. Now, yes, you can do it in a way that you're comfortable with, but you have to get eyes on you. So yeah, that's exactly, one of the things that I support with inside of the Social Media Detox Club. Now, some tips that I have for you is one, like I've already kind of touched on this, is taking a look at your mindset. So what false beliefs are you holding on to that are limiting you? The other thing is that know that being nervous is normal. Like I said, I still get nervous before I do any type of like speaking engagement. And this is with having done over 30 podcast interviews, hosting my own podcast, and speaking at a lot of events. Like I still get nervous. Like that's just part of being human. Like even I'm sure the best speakers out there, they get nervous before an event. The other thing is start slow. So like how I mentioned that, when I got started, I focused on really trying to collaborate with people I knew and that I was comfortable with. And so start with collaborating with people in your network that you are comfortable with, who, they know your personality and they're going to support you and encourage you and whatnot. And it makes it a lot easier when you're, starting out with somebody you are really comfortable with. When it comes to speaking engagements, you can start with ones that are pre-recorded versus like doing live or interview style. There are a lot of virtual summits in which you can just submit a pre-recorded training versus having to show up live or, do an interview with the host and different things like that. Again, it allows you to kind of like ease into it and kind of build up that muscle so that way, eventually you can start doing like the interviews or doing something live for a speaking engagement. You can also look at doing other types of collaboration. So I know for this mama in particular, she said that, bundles weren't really working for her. One of the things that, she can do is leverage collaborations like guest blogging or doing email swaps. Guest blogging is a great way to build up domain authority because you can have it, link back to your website and everything. But also SEO. It will help drive more traffic to like your website and your stuff and different things like that. And then email swaps, it's similar to bundles, but on a much smaller scale. Like you can reach out to people in your network and do an email swap with them. And then the last thing, and this is kind of like outside of collaborations, but if you find that, podcast guesting and speaking engagements are just something you're generally not comfortable with, I highly recommend, starting your own podcast or your own blog to increase your visibility. Now, I know you're probably like, okay, podcasting for introverts. I am telling you, like, I myself and even clients I've worked with who were the most introverted people, and they literally, like, we've found our voice through podcasting. And it's been like, it's so simple in the sense that you're having a conversation with yourself. I mean, like we're talking to our listeners, but you don't have anyone looking at you or anything like that. Like you're recording by yourself and everything. And it's a great way to practice your public speaking. It's a great way to really kind of discover who you are. Like that's one of the things I have felt like podcasting has really boosted my confidence and really helped me to discover, or I should say rediscover, my personality and different things like that. Now, yes, when I first started the podcast, it was super polished and, prim and proper. But now it's like, this is me. This is who I am. This is what you get. Like, this is my closest friends, my family. This is who they see on a regular basis. And it's because like I'm super comfortable. I love being behind this microphone and I've really been able to find my voice. I've been able to find a way to create content that feels so good to me. It feels aligned. And because I do leverage SEO, I am able to, use this as a visibility platform. I've had some amazing women find my podcast and go on and become a client, and they've been the dreamiest clients ever. And so leveraging something like this, or if you're not ready to start a podcast, a blog is just as effective. You can still leverage SEO, but it allows you to find your voice. It allows you to communicate your beliefs, your values, your expertise, and do it in a way that feels good to you. Because at the end of the day, like visibility, there's no one way to do it. Like, yes, I do believe that visibility through collaborations is very effective. And especially if you have limited time and capacity, it's something that's sustainable. But podcasting and blogging is just as effective when it comes to visibility. The main thing is that you have a way to get new eyes on your business. And so when you are leveraging something like evergreen content, like a podcast or a blog, I'm not mentioning YouTube because, YouTube, you have to be on camera. And if you're introverted, that may not be something you're into. But a podcast and a blog, like, you can leverage that SEO. You can use those keywords that your ideal people are searching in Google and ensure that your content is coming up when they're looking for that answer. And so, yeah, just essentially, you got to have a way to get visible. And I know that, especially when you're introverted, social media may not feel good to you, but also you don't want to just be relying on social media because that is rented space. You want to be able to have a way to continue to get visible, even if your, Instagram account gets hacked or deactivated, or you're not able to show up on Instagram as much as you need to generate leads. Evergreen content continues to work for you weeks, months, years after it's published. This is why, like, for collaborations, my favorite type of collaborations is podcast guesting, because that continues to work for you weeks, months, years after it's published. Like I shared in one of the episodes earlier this week, literally someone who heard my podcast interview that was published almost a year ago became a client. She trusted me from that interview, and because her coach essentially put her stamp of approval on me. So anyways, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But bottom line is that you can successfully run a business as an introvert, and more so talking about that visibility piece, you can do it on your terms. But the biggest thing is, one, making sure you are just being mindful of your mindset. And if there are any false beliefs that you're holding on to, you need to squash that. And then finding ways to get visible that feel good to you, that feel comfortable to you, that you can realistically commit to. And so I hope these tips and strategies, are super helpful for you in navigating this, because I get it, I'm living that too and everything. But I've found ways to be able to make this work for me, and I absolutely love it. I love collaborating and connecting with other women and whatnot, and, getting more eyes on my business, connecting with more people and different things like that. Now, if you do want support with, leveraging collaborations for visibility, join us inside of the Social Media Detox Club. This is the last chance to join at the current price of $57 a month. It's going up to $97 a month. So head on over to mamaturnedmompreneur.com/membership to join us. And yeah, that is it for this episode. Like I said, I really hope that this was helpful, because I get it. I'm an introvert too, even if you may not believe it, but I really am. And I get it. But even as an introvert, we can do this. We got this. All right, Mama, I'll catch you in the next episode. Hey, Mama. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. I would love to keep the conversation going. So head to mamaturnedmompreneur.com/marketing without socials to join my email community. I share even more tips and strategies for building a business that doesn't rely on social media, and one that fits your current season of life, as well as more behind the scenes of mom and business life. All right, Mama, that's it for today, but I'll catch up with you again next week.